47 ABC News Special Report.
Allegations of racketeering at Maryland's largest prison. Today, the U.S. Attorney's Office unsealed 2 federal indictments which chronicle what appears to be years of criminal activity at Eastern Correctional Institution in Westover, Maryland. 47 ABC's Emily Lampa leads our team coverage of this very big story. Emily, a lot of disturbing information has been revealed today. Please walk us through it.
All right, David. Well, I have 2 indictments here. 72 pages of information. Here's a look at some of the key takeaways. A total of 80 people, as you said earlier, were charged. 18 of those corrections officers. 35 are inmates and 27 are referred to as facilitators, people outside the prison system who apparently brought drugs, cell phones, and tobacco to the corrections officers, and also allegedly paid bribes to the COs to have them smuggle this contraband inside the prison. Now, the charges are outlined in 2 indictments. Now, the reason there are 2 is that the housing area of ECI is separated into 2 compounds, and the documents outline the criminal activity which reportedly happened within the east and west compounds separately. Now, the indictments allege that the COs, the corrections officers, accepted money as well as sexual favors to smuggle contraband into ECI. Investigators claim the going rate for a CO to smuggle items into the prison was $500 per package, and the payments were apparently made as cash, money orders, or even through PayPal on contraband cell phones. We're told the drugs being smuggled include heroin, cocaine, MDMA, Suboxone, and marijuana. Now, investigators allege that those drugs were being resold on the inside for substantial profits. And continuing our team coverage on these federal indictments, we send it over to 47 ABC's Lisette Nunez, who joins us live with a report outside the Eastern Correctional Institution property. Hi there, Lisette.
Hey, Emily, as we know, 80 people were charged. 18 of those were correctional officers at the prison. But what's important to note, ECI is already dealing with the shortage of employees, particularly correctional officers. This past August, 47 ABC brought you a story about a career fair called Operation Hire on the Eastern Shore. ECI participated in this effort to fill 60 job openings. Of those positions, they were looking to employ 40 correctional officers. At the press conference in Baltimore today, 47 ABC asked officials if the need for new correction officers was in any way tied to the investigation. But Public Safety Secretary Stephen Moyer clarified there was already a need across the state. The prison system is some 700 correctional officers short, and we know all 18 correctional officers were placed on administrative leave without pay. Officials at the press conference say they are thoroughly screening all potential new hires, including using polygraph testing. And for more information on those positions at ECI and how to apply, we have that story linked to our special report banner on our website. Emily?
All right, thank you so much, Lisette. Again, 47 ABC's Lisette Nunez reporting live from outside the ECI property. Well, at a press conference earlier this afternoon in Baltimore, the Maryland Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services Secretary Stephen Moyer said this 3-year investigation began with a tip from a corrections officer. Now, the indictments and the arrest warrants, they were issued Thursday last week, but they were apparently sealed at that time. It wasn't until today that the documents were made public. Now, we asked a spokesperson in the U.S. Attorney's Office why that was. She would not give us an answer. And arrests that we told you about, they were conducted over the past week. A number were still being carried out even this morning, even as preparations were being made for this afternoon's press conference. Now, 47 ABC's Julian Sadur was there for the question and answer session with top investigators and state officials. Julian.
Emily, the big question here today in Baltimore was how were these correctional officers able to sneak into the prison with contraband, deliver that to prisoners, then subsequently allow the prisoners to distribute that contraband throughout the prison? As we heard today, the answer isn't as simple as the question. Officials saying that money and sexual favors were key reasons why correctional officers decided to forgo their duty to the public and participate in this contraband operation. U.S. Attorney Rod Rosenstein using the example that Suboxone strips, a Schedule III narcotic, could be bought outside outside the walls for $3, but then sold inside the prison for $50, a profit of more than 1,000%. We also heard that correctional officers would alert inmates when searches were going to be conducted and even ordered inmates to use violence against other inmates who are ready to, quote, snitch on the operation. Now, as far as how these inmates were able to move freely, I'm told they were allowed to as part of their jobs at the prison.
They gain them actually through, good behavior. They apply. In some cases, if they work in some of our Maryland Correctional Enterprises plants, they actually are paid a salary.
So we can assume that these inmates were in good standing with the
at some point in time, but once we learn they're involved in this type of behavior, that's when my intelligence and investigation.
Now, we were also able to talk to Union President Patrick Moran, who says the action of these correctional officers are not indicative of the workforce as a whole.
The fact that an officer brought this to the fore and brought this to management's attention is, just a reflection of the fact that, the vast majority, 99.998% of the officers out there are doing the right thing.
Now, I'll have much more from this press conference at 10 and 11, but for now, let's send it back to you in the studio, Emily.
All right, thank you so much, Julian. Again, 47 ABC's Julian Sadur reporting from Baltimore tonight. Now, each defendant listed in these indictments face a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison for the racketeering conspiracy and for conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute drugs. 2 correctional officers, as well as 2 inmates, also face an additional 10 years in prison for allegedly participating in the stabbing of 2 other inmates in separate incidents. Now, initial appearances for the correctional officers and facilitators arrested today, they are being held in U.S. District Court in Baltimore today. Now, the inmates charged in the indictments, they will have their initial appearances at a later date. Now, if you would like to take a look at the list of people named in these indictments or read the details for yourself, we have the full documents online. David?
Alrighty, thank you very much, Emily. Now, if there is any detail you might have missed from our team coverage of this story, it will all be on our website, 47abc.com. We're going to set this story aside for now.